I exposed my stepfather's lies at the worst time. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. I didn't plan to blow up my sister's wedding. I planned to hand over the mic and pretend he hadn't been siphoning us for years. Then the band softened, champagne hissed, and Victor raised his glass, all dimples. "Family is trust," he said. Mom glowed. Something snapped. My hands shook so hard the flute chimed. I took the mic. Before the toast, I said, "One quick truth." Polite laughter. I met Mom's eyes. "Check your phone." Her smile paused. The screenshots I'd airdropped, bank transfers labeled consulting to a shell company, a deed with my late father's signature faked, an email where Victor wrote, "Keep the girl quiet and the house stays mine." The DJ's screen mirrored my files. A low gasp rolled the room. Victor's face did a slow, ugly molt. "This is a misunderstanding," he said, reaching. I stepped back. "Is it?" I opened the ring box I'd carried for months. No jewelry, a thumb drive. "Play the audio." The speakers cracked. Victor's voice poured out. "If she asks about her college fund, kill it. Say market losses." The room stiffened. "Dad?" My sister whispered, okay, trembling. I hated that word for him. He'd earned none of it. No D, no A, no middle. He lunged. The best man blocked him. Chair scraped. Mom's pearls jumped. I remembered locked drawers, hushed calls, motel soap trips. The summer he canceled therapy because resilience is free. "You forged Dad's will," I said, voice steadying on rage. "You drained the trust, sold the lake cabin, pawned his watch." "Enough," he hissed. "You don't want to do this today. I wanted to do it years ago." I nodded to the back doors. 2 officers stepped in, hats under arms. I'd filed the report Wednesday, after the bank manager whispered, "I'm sorry." Victor smirked. "Cops at a wedding? For what?" "Hurt feelings." "For fraud," someone answered. Not me. Because the last person I expected had just walked in, holding the one thing that could bury him. The original will, signed copy. It was Carter, my dad's estate attorney, still tall, pressed by rules. He shouldn't have been here. He'd retired 2 states away, the last person who returned my calls as regretfully restricted. Yet there he was with a fireproof pouch. "I was subpoenaed," he said, "and contacted by an anonymous tipster this morning. They said to bring the original." Victor laughed. "Original what? A fairy tale?" Carter unzipped the pouch and drew out a folder. Inside, my father's handwriting, the notary seal, 2 witness signatures. One of them was my mother's. Mom's hand rose to her throat. "This will create a spendthrift trust for your children," Carter said, eyes moving between me and my sister. "It bars any spouse from being trustee. The trustee of record is me. Transfers require dual authorization. None of those transfers are authorized." The DJ's mirror showed the clauses. Victor shook his head, sweating through his tux. "Forgery," he spat. "Outdated nonsense." "Outdated." Carter lifted another sheet. "Then why did you file a lost will affidavit last year claiming the house reverted to you? This contradicts your statement." Also, he tapped the seal. "This notary stamp belonged to Denise Park. She died 3 years before your version was supposedly signed." A fissure ran through guests. The violinist set his bow down like a weapon. Victor lunged. The officers stepped forward. Mom finally spoke. "There must be a mistake. Victor, he just managed things. Your father, he wasn't well." Carter's mouth softened. He was well enough to leave this. He produced a smaller envelope, sealed with brown wax. My name was in my father's block letters. Beneath it, a line I'd know anywhere, for when truth costs more than silence. My fingers wouldn't obey. Carter placed it in my palm. Inside lay a motel key tag 214 and a note. "Ask Eleanor about the storage unit." The room inhaled. No one exhaled. Eleanor is my mother's legal name, and the lie she chose. The paper shook in my hands, but it wasn't nerves. It was fury boiling into clarity. A cheap brass key, stamped 214, lay heavy in my palm. Every eye in the reception hall followed it as though it glowed. "Eleanor?" I asked, my voice like a blade. No one called my mother that. Not since before she married my father. She froze, lips parted, the color draining from her face. "I don't know what this is," she whispered. But I saw her clutch tighter. Victor barked out a laugh, desperate and brittle. "A prop. Don't let the theatrics fool you. She's just..." "Stop." I cut him off. Dad knew. He knew you both were hiding something. I held up the note, my father's writing stark against the paper. This wasn't for the police, wasn't for Carter. It was for me. The guests shifted like waves, whispers colliding. My sister's mascara streaked, her bouquet dangling like a broken limb. Mom, storage unit, she said, voice cracking. What storage unit? Mom's eyes darted everywhere, except at me. Carter cleared his throat. There is a registered unit under the name Eleanor Gray, paid in cash for 10 years. I confirmed it after receiving the tip. It was unusual. My heart kicked. 10 years. Dad died 8 years ago. 2 years before that. Mom had begun vanishing for errands that took entire afternoons. The officers moved closer, one of them noting the key. Ma'am, do you want to explain? I have nothing to explain. Mom snapped suddenly, her composure breaking into shards. It's private. It's mine. None of you. But Victor grabbed her wrist so hard she gasped. Don't say a word. That was the first time I saw it. Fear in her eyes, not for herself, but of him. And the silence that followed told me the wedding was over. Because whatever was in Unit 214 had the power to destroy them both. And I wasn't going to wait another day to open it. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Mom's face when the key glinted under the reception lights. Pale, cornered, guilty. By morning, the choice was clear. I had to see what was inside that unit. Carter met me in the parking lot of the storage facility, a strip of concrete and rusted doors that looked more like a graveyard of secrets than a business. He carried a clipboard. I carried the key. My hands wouldn't stop trembling. You're sure about this? He asked quietly. No, I admitted. But if I don't open it, I'll never breathe again. The lock turned with a reluctant click, like it had been waiting. I pulled the door up and the sunlight cut into the darkness. Dust spiraled. And then, boxes. Dozens of them, stacked neatly, labeled in Mom's handwriting. Carter stepped forward, reading aloud. Medical statements, 2007 to 2009. Another box, bank files. Another, Richard's journals. My father's name. My chest caved in. I ripped it open. Inside were leather-bound notebooks, the kind Dad always scribbled in. I flipped to a random page, and my stomach dropped. Eleanor met Victor again. She swore it was about money, but I know better. They're planning something. I must protect the kids. The next entry, dated a month before his sudden stroke. If anything happens to me, look for the red binder. I shoved aside boxes until I found it. An old binder, its spine cracked, labeled in block letters. Evidence. Inside, photocopies of checks written to shell companies, photos of Mom and Victor at a motel, even a forged medical prescription pad. My father hadn't been paranoid. He'd been documenting everything. Carter exhaled sharply. This is enough to open a full investigation. But before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A single text from an unknown number. Close that door, or you'll regret it. The storage hallway was empty. Or so I thought. The text burned on my screen. Close that door, or you'll regret it. My pulse pounded against my ribs. I spun, scanning the rows of units. Silence, except for the rattle of a loose gutter in the wind. Did you give anyone notice we'd be here? I whispered to Carter. He shook his head, his jaw tightening. No one. Only the court has copies of my subpoena. I slid the binder into my backpack, hands shaking, and tucked one of Dad's journals under my arm. We need to leave. Now. That's when the metallic echo hit. Slow, deliberate footsteps from the far end of the corridor. I caught a silhouette moving between units, too tall, shoulders stiff. Not a customer. Not security. Carter muttered, "Stay behind me," though he looked more like a librarian than a bodyguard. He pushed the unit door halfway down, but not fast enough. The shadow closed in. "Who's there?" I demanded, trying to keep my voice from cracking. My phone buzzed again. Another text. "You don't understand what you've started. Walk away." My stomach clenched. Whoever it was, Victor, one of his cronies, maybe even someone Mom had pulled into this. They knew exactly what we'd found. The figure finally stepped into the light. It wasn't Victor. It was a man I'd never seen before, mid-40s, weathered face, black leather jacket. His eyes scanned the unit, then locked on the binder sticking out of my bag. "That doesn't belong to you," he said flatly. Carter squared his shoulders. "It belongs to the estate. And unless you want obstruction charges, I suggest you back off." The man smirked, pulled something from his pocket. "Keys." jangling like a warning. You've got no idea what you're holding. That binder ruins more than just Victor. The way he said it made my skin crawl. He wasn't bluffing. My father's notes hadn't just exposed family lies. They'd cracked open something bigger. And then, without another word, he turned and walked away. But his parting words hung like smoke. If you open the rest, you won't survive the fallout. The unit suddenly felt colder, darker. And I realized the lies I thought were just my stepfather's might stretch far beyond him. I didn't wait for the leather-jacketed stranger to vanish completely. As soon as his footsteps faded, I slammed the unit door down and locked it. My hands were clammy, but my grip on the key was iron. Carter's face was pale. That man wasn't bluffing. Whoever he works for, this goes beyond domestic fraud. I swallowed hard. My throat was raw from breathing too fast. Then what the hell was Dad caught up in? We drove back in silence, the binder between us on the seat like a bomb. I kept imagining headlights flashing in the rear view, someone tailing us, waiting for the right moment to snatch everything. At home, I cracked the binder open under the kitchen light. Carter leaned in as I flipped through page after page. Wire transfers overseas, copies of medical invoices that didn't match hospital records, even a grainy photograph of Victor shaking hands with a man I recognized instantly from the local news. A councilman, one who'd been railing against corruption charges for years. "This is organized," Carter muttered. "Victor wasn't just bleeding your father's accounts. He was laundering money through political channels. And your mother, she signed some of these authorizations." The words sank like stones in my chest. My own mother's signature, curling in blue ink, beneath forms that made my father's estate vanish piece by piece. I felt sick. So she wasn't blind. She was complicit. Before Carter could answer, headlights swept across the blinds. My stomach dropped. A car idled outside, engine low, too long to be casual. Then my phone vibrated on the table. A block number again. "Stop digging. You've already lost enough, family. Don't lose more." The engine outside revved once, twice, and then peeled away. Carter pressed his lips together. "They know where you live. You can't stay here." I closed the binder with a snap. "Then it's time to decide. Do we run scared or finish what my father started?" The binder sat between us like a verdict. And buried halfway inside was something new I hadn't seen before. An envelope marked in my father's handwriting. "For the day she betrays you." The envelope felt heavier than paper should. My father's handwriting wasn't rushed. It was deliberate, each letter sharp as if he'd known I would need this to cut through years of lies. I slid a finger under the flap. Inside were two items, a folded letter and a flash drive taped to the back. My chest tightened. I unfolded the letter first, eyes scanning the words written 8 years ago, just months before he died. "If you're reading this, it means Eleanor has chosen him over you." I feared this day would come. She and Victor are not only bound by marriage, they're bound by greed. Protect yourself. The truth is here, but it will cost you dearly. My vision blurred, the lines swimming with rage. My own mother, the woman who tucked me in, who swore she was just trying to keep the family afloat. All a cover. Carter lifted the flash drive. This could be everything. We plugged it into my laptop, the screen glowing against the darkness of the kitchen. Folders appeared, photos, audio, contracts. My pulse thundered as I opened one labeled Recordings. Dad's voice crackled through the speakers. "If anything happens to me, look at Victor. Look at Eleanor. They think I'm too weak to fight back, but I won't let them destroy the kid's future." Carter rubbed his forehead. "Your father knew. He didn't just suspect, he documented." Another file autoplayed. This time, it wasn't Dad. It was Mom. "Victor, if he ever finds out, he'll go to the police. We can't let that happen." The sound of Victor's laugh followed, cold and familiar. "Then we'll make sure he never finds out." My stomach lurched. My father hadn't died from a stroke. He'd been silenced. Before I could process it, a sharp knock rattled the front door. Not hesitant, commanding. 3 heavy thuds. Carter's eyes darted to mine. "Police," I whispered. But then came a voice I knew too well, muffled through the wood, but unmistakable. "Open the door, kid. We need to talk." It was Victor. The sound of his voice rooted me to the floor. Victor, calm, collected. Even now, like he hadn't just been exposed at a wedding and cornered by evidence that could ruin him. My fists clenched until my nails dug into my palms. Carter motioned for silence, But the pounding came again, 3 deliberate knocks, like a countdown. "I know you're in there," Victor called, his voice steady. "And I know you've been reading things you don't understand. Let's not make this worse." I whispered, "He can't know about the recordings. He can't." But then I remembered the man in the storage facility. The one who warned us. Of course Victor knew. Carter whispered back, "Do not open that door. If you let him in, it's over." But Victor's tone shifted, a blade wrapped in velvet. "Listen, kid. You don't want to drag your mother down with me, do you? She'll go to prison too. Is that what you want? Your own mother in orange, locked away because you couldn't keep family matters quiet?" The words sliced deeper than I expected. Mom's betrayal still burned fresh, but prison? A part of me wanted her to suffer. Another part, the child still desperate for her love, hesitated. Carter shook his head firmly, whispering, "He's gaslighting. It's classic leverage. Don't fall for it." Another knock. Louder. More impatient. Then the rattle of the doorknob. Victor's voice dropped into a growl. "You have one chance to hand me what you found. After tonight, I won't ask again." I glanced at the laptop, the flash drive still glowing red. Every instinct screamed to protect it. Dad's voice, Mom's confession, it was the only proof. Carter pulled out his phone, already dialing. "We're calling this in." He steps foot inside. It's breaking and entering. But before the call could connect, a faint sound drifted from the back of the house, the creak of a window. I froze. Victor wasn't alone. Someone was already inside. The creak of the window sliced through the room like a blade. My whole body went cold. Carter's phone slipped slightly in his hand, and he cursed under his breath. "Back door," he mouthed. I slammed the laptop shut, yanked the flash drive free, and shoved it into my pocket. My father's words echoed in my skull. "For the day she betrays you." Another noise, soft footsteps on the linoleum in the laundry room. Whoever had come in was moving carefully, like they knew the layout. My gut twisted. Of course they did. "Stay here," Carter whispered. "The hell I will," I hissed back. He motioned toward the hallway. We edged together, the silence thicker than cement. The laundry room door was ajar, shadows moving inside. My pulse hammered against my ribs. Then, movement. A figure stepped out. Not Victor. My mother. Her face was pale, eyes swollen from crying, but her voice was steady. "Please, don't do this. Don't ruin everything." I blinked, stunned. "Mom." She looked at me, not Carter, not the flash drive. At me. "You don't understand what's at stake. You think your father was innocent? He wasn't. He kept secrets too." Carter stiffened. "Eleanor, don't." But she cut him off, her tone sharpening. "You think that binder only condemns us? Look deeper. Richard wasn't some saint. He was playing a dangerous game, and if you expose Victor, you expose all of it. You'll drag your father's name through the mud right beside us." My chest tightened. "Dad, the man who'd left me notebooks, proof, warnings, dirty too?" Victor's voice thundered again from the front door. "Time's up. Hand it over." Mom stepped closer, desperate. "Please, give me the drive. I can fix this before it destroys us all." Her trembling hand reached out. I stared at her, at the woman who'd raised me, betrayed me, and now claimed Dad was no better. My heart split in two. And then Carter whispered the words that shattered everything. "She's right about one thing. Your father wasn't entirely clean. I tried to warn him before he died." The air felt like it collapsed in on itself. Carter's words rang louder than Victor's pounding at the front door. Not entirely clean. My throat dried, every memory of my father flickering through my mind like broken film. "What do you mean?" I demanded, my voice sharp, almost feral. Carter swallowed, eyes darting to my mother, who stood frozen in the hallway. "Your father, he wasn't corrupt like Victor, not greedy. But he was desperate. He made deals he shouldn't have. Deals with people who don't forgive debts." Mom's lips trembled. Richard was weak. He thought he could outsmart Victor and his circle, but he just dragged us deeper. I stayed with Victor because he was the only one who knew how to keep us alive. Alive. Not happy. Not safe. Just alive. "No," I whispered, shaking my head. "Dad was protecting us. He was documenting everything. He knew what you two were doing." Carter's jaw tightened. "And he also knew if it all came out, his own mistakes would surface. That's why he left it for you, to decide if exposing Victor was worth burying your father's name too." The front door shuddered. Victor was ramming his shoulder against it now. Wood splintered. Tom was running out. My mother reached for me again, tears streaming now. Please, honey, don't let him take both of us down. Don't let your father's memory drown in scandal. For a moment, the child in me wanted to fold, to let her hold me and promise it would all be okay. But then I remembered the audio file, her voice, whispering with Victor about silencing Dad. You chose him, I spat, my voice cracking. You chose him over us, over Dad, over me. The door crashed inward, hinges shrieking. Victor stood there, red-faced, wild-eyed, a predator stripped of his smile. Enough games, he snarled. His gaze locked on my pocket. Hand me the drive. Carter stepped between us, but Victor's hand slipped into his jacket, and when it came out, it wasn't empty. A gun glinted in the dim light, and his finger was already on the trigger. The barrel gleamed under the kitchen light, steady and cold, aimed straight at me. My breath caught. The whole world shrank to that black circle. Give me the drive, Victor hissed. His voice wasn't the smooth manipulator's tone anymore. It was jagged, raw. No more theatrics. No more games. Hand it over, and maybe we walk away breathing. Carter raised his hand slowly. Victor, think. You pull that trigger, it's over. Armed entry, attempted homicide. You'll never claw your way out of prison. Victor's laugh was short and humorless. You think I care about prison? I care about survival. That drive ruins me, and half the men who keep this city running. Do you understand what that means? If it leaks, I'm not the only one coming after you. His words hit like ice water. He wasn't bluffing. This was bigger than family lies. My father's binder didn't just expose fraud. It tangled in politics, money, power. I forced myself to speak, though my voice shook. So what's the plan, Victor? Shoot me in Mom's kitchen? In front of her? In front of Carter? Then what? Dump our bodies in the river. You'll never clean it up. His jaw flexed, grip tightening on the gun. For a flicker, I thought he might actually do it. Then my mother stepped forward. Her voice cracked, but she stood between us. Victor, stop. Please. Not here. Not like this. For the first time, I saw panic in her eyes. Not just fear of the gun, but fear of losing him. Even now, even after everything. Victor sneered. Get out of the way, Eleanor. But she shook her head, tears cutting down her face. You promised me. You said you'd never hurt them. The room buzzed, my heart hammering in my ears. Carter's hand inched toward the counter, toward the heavy ceramic mug sitting there. Victor caught the movement, snapping the gun toward him. Don't. In that split second, I made a choice. I yanked the flash drive from my pocket and held it high. You want it? I shouted. Then catch it. And before he could fire, I hurled it straight at the window. The glass shattered, shards raining down into the night. Victor roared, spinning toward the sound, which gave Carter his opening. He lunged, and the gun went off. The blast shook the walls, deafening, a flash of fire in the dark kitchen. For a second I didn't know who had been hit, Carter or me. My ears rang, my chest burned with terror. Then I saw him. Carter, sprawled on the tile, clutching his shoulder, blood blooming through his jacket. Carter, I screamed, dropping to my knees. Victor's face twisted, half fury, half panic. He hadn't expected the shot to land like that. He swung the gun back toward me, but my mother was already there, shoving him. Stop it, Victor. Enough, she cried, her hands pushing against his chest. Get out of my way, he snarled, trying to shake her off. You don't understand. He has to. But she wouldn't move. Her body trembled, torn between loyalty and fear, but she stood her ground. You kill them, you kill me too. Is that what you want? For a second, just a second, the weapon dipped. I grabbed Carter's arm, helping him sit up. He groaned, pale but conscious. It's not fatal, he gasped. But we need time. Victor snapped back toward me, eyes wild, gun rising again. But headlights suddenly swept across the broken window, red and blue flashing against the shattered glass. A siren wailed close, too close. His eyes went wide. You called the cops? I didn't. But I didn't correct him. Panic flared across his face. He shoved my mother aside and bolted toward the back door, disappearing into the night just as tires screeched in the driveway. Two officers burst in, guns drawn, scanning the chaos. Carter bleeding, glass everywhere, my mother shaking, and me frozen with shock. He went out the back. I yelled, pointing. One officer dashed out in pursuit, the other rushed to Carter. But before Victor vanished completely into the dark, he turned back once. His face, framed in the jagged window, locked on me with a promise. "You think this is over?" he spat. "You don't even know what you've started." And then he was gone, leaving behind blood, broken glass, and a mother who whispered in a voice I barely recognized, "He's right. You've unleashed something you can't control." The house reeked of gunpowder and fear. Paramedics lifted Carter onto a stretcher, his face pale but determined. "Don't let this die with me," he rasped, gripping my wrist before they wheeled him out. His blood smeared my skin, sticky and warm, like an oath I hadn't chosen but couldn't break. The police peppered me with questions. What did Victor want? What was in the drive? Did I have evidence? But I could barely speak. The truth was, the flash drive wasn't in my pocket anymore. When I hurled it toward the window, it hadn't just shattered glass. It had bounced outside, into the night. And Victor was still out there. Mom sat at the kitchen table, trembling, refusing to look at me. Her hands clutched each other like they might keep her from falling apart. "You should have let it go," she whispered. "You don't know these people. They'll eat you alive." "Who are they?" I demanded. "Victor's friends? His partners? Or yours?" She flinched like I'd struck her. "It started with money, then protection, then threats. Richard thought he could fight them, but he only painted a target on our backs. Victor kept us alive." The words twisted like knives. My father hadn't just died. He'd been swallowed by something bigger. And Mom had chosen survival over truth. I leaned closer, my voice breaking. "You let him take everything. You let him turn Dad into a ghost. And you let me believe it was all normal." Her tears spilled, but she didn't deny it. An officer interrupted, stepping into the wreckage. "We found tire tracks leading away from the property. He won't get far." But I knew better. Victor was cunning, and scared men don't just run, they strike back harder. When the house finally emptied, silence pressed in like smoke. I walked back to the shattered window, staring at the shards scattered in the yard. Somewhere out there, in the dark grass, the flash drive lay hidden, or already taken. And as I stood there, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. A single message glowed on the screen. "The drive is ours now. You still want the truth? Meet us tomorrow, alone." No name, no location, just an attachment, a blurry photo. Of me, standing in that very window. The photo hit me harder than the gunshot. Grainy, taken from outside the house, angled upward at the broken window where I stood. My own face, pale and hollow-eyed, stared back at me. Proof that whoever us was, they were closer than I ever imagined. The message vibrated in my hands. "Meet us tomorrow, alone." No time, no place, just a command. I showed the phone to Mom. Her lips parted, terror flashing across her face. "Don't answer them. Don't go. You don't understand. They don't ask. They own. Once you step into their world, you never step out." "Then why are they inviting me?" I asked bitterly. "What do they want with me?" Her silence was answer enough. She knew, and her knowing was worse than the not knowing. I retreated to my room, binder open on the floor, Dad's journals scattered like puzzle pieces. I flipped through frantic entries, trying to stitch a pattern. One line stopped me cold. "If they contact the kids, it means I've failed. But maybe they'll listen to blood when they wouldn't listen to me." Blood, not allies, not police. Family. I wanted to scream. My father had seen this coming, had known I might inherit not just his memories, but his war. Carter called from the hospital that night, his voice thin. "Don't go alone. They're testing you. If you cave, they'll use you. If you resist, they'll crush you. Choose carefully." "But what choice do I have?" I whispered. He hesitated, then said, "The choice your father made. Truth, even if it kills you." I lay awake until dawn, every sound outside making my skin crawl. The photo, the message, the shattered window replayed in my mind like a curse. When morning finally cracked the horizon, another text arrived. This time, with an address. 214 Maple Industrial Park. Unit 9. Midnight. The same district where my father's storage unit sat. The same number, 214. And beneath it, just 2 words, "Bring Mom." The address pulsed on my phone screen like a heartbeat. 214 Maple Industrial Park. Unit 9. Midnight. I knew it was a trap, but I also knew it was the last page of my father's story, and mine. I went armed with copies of every document, every recording, every scan from the red binder. I had set an automated release. If I didn't return, the files would go public. There would be no burying the truth anymore. The unit's door was already open when I arrived. Inside, harsh fluorescent lights revealed Victor and 3 others in suits, strangers with cold eyes. My mother stood in the corner, trembling, caught between her old loyalties and the ruins of her choices. Victor smiled, all venom. Give me the files, and you walk out. Refuse, and you'll never leave this room. I pulled out my phone. They're already uploaded. At dawn, every journalist will get them, unless I stop it. Kill me, and the world burns with you. For the first time, Victor's smirk cracked. The others shifted uncomfortably, their power suddenly fragile. The woman in the suit hissed, "You wouldn't dare." I raised my chin, though my voice shook. I already did. The silence stretched, heavy and electric. Then Victor lunged. My mother screamed. But before he could reach me, the bay door crashed open. Police stormed in, guns drawn, Carter among them, pale but alive, having defied his doctors to finish what he started. "Hands in the air," the officers shouted. The suits froze. Victor cursed as cuffs snapped around his wrists. His eyes burned holes through me. "You'll regret this, kid," he spat. But for once, I believed he was wrong. When the chaos cleared, Mom collapsed into a chair, sobbing. She looked at me with hollow eyes. "I thought I was protecting you," she whispered. "No," I said quietly, the weight of it all finally lifting. "Dad was protecting me. You just protected him." She had no answer. By dawn, the files had triggered headlines across every screen. Victor's empire crumbled, the councilman resigned, and years of buried corruption bled into daylight. My father's name was tangled in it too. Not spotless, not saintly, but the truth was finally whole. Standing outside that warehouse, the first light breaking through the clouds, I felt something I hadn't in years, free. The lies were ashes now. The cost had been brutal, but the truth, my father's truth, my truth, finally lived where no one could kill it again. And for the first time, I walked forward without fear.